Neftalli Bennett, Israel's economy minister and the head of the pro-settler party Jewish Home. He joins me now live from Tel Aviv. And Minister Bennett, thank you very much for being on the program. To recap the dispute that was going on, the negotiations were ongoing. Then there was trouble with Palestinian prisoners who were supposed to be released. That took a while. And then the housing minister, who is a member of your party, went and issued permits to build 700 houses in East Jerusalem, and with that, everything went south. I want to play you a clip of John Kerry as he evaluated the situation, and I'd like you to comment on it.
Unfortunately, the prisoners weren't released on the Saturday they were supposed to be released. And so day went by, day 2 went by, day 3 went by, and then in the afternoon, when they were about to maybe get there, 700 settlement units were announced in Jerusalem, and poof, that was sort of the moment.
Poof, that was sort of the moment, sir. Your reaction?
No, that doesn't portray what actually happened. What actually happened is that 2 weeks ago, Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, announced that he would never be willing to even discuss recognizing Israel as the Jewish homeland. So basically what he's telling us is, yes, you recognize the Judea and Samaria as the Palestinian homeland, but we will never, ever recognize the Jewish state. The reality, Fred, is that the era of these negotiations is over. It's time for Plan B. It's time for a new approach, and that new approach is massive economic investment on ground for the people, Israel applying Israeli law on the Israeli areas within Judea and Samaria, and the Palestinian-controlled areas will have their own autonomy. The approach that we've been trying for 20 years now clearly has reached its end.
But basically what you're saying is that settlements are going to continue. There's going to be more investments in the Israeli settlements in the West Bank. I mean, that's something that the Palestinians just can't go for, is it? Especially if you factor in East Jerusalem as well.
Well, first of all, Fred, Jerusalem has been the Jewish capital for just about 3,000 years. And just like I would never suggest to freeze building in London where you're there right now, or suggest that the Palestinians freeze their building. Why is no one talking about the Palestinian building? So only we're supposed to freeze our building in our own state. That's unacceptable. We have to also realize that Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen, the president of the Palestinian Authority, is constantly funding Hamas with hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and Hamas is applying terror on Israeli citizens even today. Even today, missiles have been shot from Hamas onto Israeli cities, and everyone's silent about it. Clearly, Abu Mazen is not seeking peace. He wants no Israel. And it's time for the world to recognize that this approach, where we're supposed to give up the heart of our land to someone who blatantly is saying that he will never recognize Israel, just doesn't make sense. It's time for a new approach.
But, sir, I realize that there has been Jewish life in Jerusalem, obviously, for thousands of years. There's been Palestinian life there for thousands of years as well, and clearly they see it as their capital. And what the international community is trying to do is find a solution. And in this case, even the chief negotiator for Israel... No, hold on, so let me finish, sir. Even the chief negotiator for Israel says that your housing minister torpedoed the negotiations.
Well, you're talking about a Palestinian presence. Has there ever been a Palestinian state? Show me what its flag was. Show me what its anthem was. Show me who its leader is. Show me anything that mentions the word Palestinians more than 65 years ago or 80 years ago. That's wrong. There has never been a Palestinian state. That's one of the big lies that they've managed to press forward. The reality is that it's been the Jewish land for 3,000 years. It's still our land. Yes, there are 2 million Arabs who live in Judea and Samaria, and yes, I do not want to control them. I want them to have their own entity, to have their own government, to have their own flag, do whatever they want. I have no desire to control the Arabs. But clearly, trying to inject a Palestinian state and granting it to someone who is saying, they're not even hiding it, they're saying we will never accept Israel as the Jewish nation state. How does that make sense? Why does that make sense to anyone? It's time to think differently.
But thinking differently is something that would involve a whole new process. And clearly, if you look at the polls in Israel, then you see that most Israelis want a two-state solution because they're just sick of what's going on right now. They're sick of the attacks on them. They're sick of the military operations that are going on. Aren't you acting against the interests of the Israeli people when you do this?
Quite the contrary. The party that was favoring a Palestinian state got 5% of the votes in Israel. My own party got more than double that amount. The majority of Israelis and Palestinians and the world realize that this process is going nowhere. Everyone understands it's going nowhere. Everyone in the world gets it. So why are we bashing our heads again and again? Now, you're talking about somehow this bringing peace. You know, we handed over the entire Gaza Strip to the Palestinians. We hoped it would become the Singapore of the Middle East. Instead, it became the Afghanistan of the Middle East. The moment we handed over Gaza to the Palestinians, they started shooting missiles on our main cities. That doesn't work. If we hand over Judea and Samaria, we're going to have Tel Aviv under constant missile fire. Why would anyone do that? You know, I want peace more than anyone. I've been in the Israeli military as a commander for over 20 years. I served in all the conflicts. I've lost friends. I want peace more than anyone. But this is not the way to achieve peace. The way to achieve peace is to invest massively in the economy, in the quality of life of the Arabs and the Israelis alike on ground and build it bottom up.
All right. Neftalli Bennett, thank you very much for joining the program.